evening, crafty friends. It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday on June 28th, 2023. So, what is up is I have many tutorial booklets and layouts and ideas. So, over the summer, I'm going to go through some of those ideas and try to make them with current products. So, this one I found in my little technique notebook, and it's called the Faux Tiles. I think that's a little too overexposed. There we go. The Faux Tile Technique. And you can see the lines drawn on here, or I should say embedded on here. And it's using the paper trimmer scoring blade. Hi, Vicki. And so this card I made a good 11, 12 years ago when I first started out, 11 years ago. Well, I don't know how long I've been doing this. I don't know. The time just goes by so fast. With a stamp set that I absolutely loved. And then this is pumpkin pie. So the card base is a current one. And same with Berry Vanilla, but all the other stuff has long since retired. So we're going to recreate it. Here is one version that I did before I came on camera here. And this is featuring the inked and tiled stamp set. Oops. This one here, which has two punches that go with it. But the same idea. All right, so it's really literally the same card, a few little embellishments, different embellishments. This is boho blue, that's same with the embellishments, and then real red. I love this. I think it's so pretty. And I think actually I did this on white. I'm not sure. I think I did it on white. Anyhow, we're going to make another version of it using a different stamp set. So if you're here, let me know you're here watching, just like Vicki did. Follow Vicki's lead. And if you are watching the replay, leave me a comment. Love to know who was along for the ride somewhere along the way. All right, let's make some space here. So to do this, you're going to need some kind of scoring tool. Now, I looked at the Simply Scored, which I love to use for scoring for all kinds of boxes and let's see, even scoring my paper in half for making cards. And I just didn't think that it would work as well for this technique. So I'm going to go with my paper trimmer. Now, first of all here, I'm going to prepare my card base. So my plan was to use, my plan was to use Lemon Lolly as the card base. So I need to score it this way. So I take my 8.5 by 11 and I score it along the 11 side at 5.5, and then I cut it in half at 4.25 for this top opening kind of card. Now I have voila, 2 scored bases. So then if I was going to use this for a layer, I'm just going to end up cutting off at the score line anyway, so it's no big deal. So I'll set that aside. It just saves me a bit of time. Oops. And then this is, hi Brenda, this is Tahitian Tide, and we're going to make a layer of Tahitian Tide. I do have some scraps over here of 4.25 by 4 by 5.25. So in the same way, I'm going to just like cut it in half, and I always cut my cardstock as if I'm making a card base. That way I have the least amount of waste. So there's half that I can toss aside, and then I'll just cut this at 4. I have a bigger layer that way, and then cut this down to 5.25. And I just find I don't waste a lot, or I don't have a lot of leftover scrap pieces when I do it this way. So there we go. There's our layer. Just like, I'm going to pull a sample in here so I can take a look at it. There we go. All right, so now we need some white or vanilla, a couple of ink pads, and some embellishments. So what I have is 2 pieces in case I fluff this up. This piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and it's going to layer just beautifully onto my 4 by 5.25. So there we are with our layers, okay? And I'm going to do the tiling. I'm going to do my scoring on a diagonal, and then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do it on the other diagonal, and that's going to give me this kind of pattern, this diamond sort of pattern on here. So when I played with this, I found the best way. I read the instructions from years ago. Of course, it doesn't make as much sense to me now as it did back then. So I found the best way using the paper trimmer that we have today is to line up this point and this point on your paper trimmer. And I want to get that first score line somewhere here. So you can see I've got just a first little, you see that there? Yeah, the first little score that way. So I'm going to line up the top left and the bottom right points at 2.5. So someone's going to have to help me remember I'm on the 1/2 inch because I'm going to score every inch. So if I have those 2 points on the 2.5 inch mark and the line going down, then I can score. All right, and now I'm going to move it to the right, and I'm now going to line these 2 points up at 1.5. So I'm going from 2.5 to 1.5. There we go. And what that essentially has done is move my score line over 1 inch. Then I'm going to do the same. You have to go back and forth, by the way, with the scoring blade on here. The other way to do it is to use a bone folder and go down the center. I have better luck with the scoring blade. Now I'm going to go from 1.5 to 1/2 inch. This is where I messed up a little bit this afternoon when I was playing with this because I had my eye on the wrong line. Here we go, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, perfect. Now as I'm going to the right, I can actually start lining it up on the other side of the scoring track. So now I'm lining it up at, at 1/2, wait a minute, where are we? Yeah, so we're moving over an inch, right, to the 1/2 inch over on the right side of the track. Just double checking myself here. Yep. And then I'm going to move this over again. So I'm actually now working on this side of the trimmer, and I'm actually lining up the last score line 1 inch over. It's, it's a little bit tricky to do it on a diagonal. We used to have a diagonal plate for the Simply Scored, and that was great for doing this kind of thing, but not everybody has that, and using your paper trimmer is the easiest way to do this. So I'm just going to line that up, flip this over, and if you get it flipped over and it shifts a little bit, you can still move it a little bit along here as you need to line it up where it needs to go, like this. All right, so there are the diagonal lines there. I think if I do it this way, you can see going that way. So now I need to do the diagonal lines going this way. So to do that, I started once again at 2.5 with those 2 points. No, actually I went in a little bit. Let's see, let's go 1. It doesn't really matter so long as you do the same thing consistently. 1.5. So I'm going down this vertical line here. That's going to go, oh yeah, because I want to get the furthest point over. So let's go a little bit further. Let's go back to the 2.5 inch line. Well, there's a good idea. We'll go back to the 2.5 inch line because when I flipped this over, I didn't realize how much I would have showing here. So there we go. Whatever you start is where you start. And then this goes over an inch. So same thing, 1.5. And then another inch to the 1/2 inch mark, which is here. Nope, here. Stay put. Here we go. And then 1 more inch over. And then we're going to do this, adding some light color to it afterwards. And that will sort of dirty it up a little bit and have the various tile lines show up a little more prominently. And the last one. You can start moving this up on your trimmer too as you go along. Okay, so there we have it. the diamond sort of pattern, tile pattern. So no, we don't need this anymore. And on my other one, and my very original one, I think it was crumb cake. And on this one, I did crumb cake for the tile lines, just so that you'd see the grout lines a little bit more defined. This time I'm going to try gray. No, I'm not. I'm going to try lemon lolly. Was that the plan? Yeah, what was the plan with the gray granite? Can't remember. Oh, the greeting. Right. Okay, so we're going to use lemon lolly. So let's grab a little piece of scrap here to work on. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't end up with adding lemon lolly, something to my lemon lolly. So I'm going to see what happens if I use lemon lolly instead of one of the more neutral colors. And I'm just going to go in and lightly add some color around it. And if you get a blotch somewhere where you go to put it down and you've got way too much ink there, not to worry, that's where your greeting's going to go. Or you're going to hide it with a ribbon or something like that. And we're just going to go around. You could use a sponge or a sponge dauber as well, as you wish. This just helps to, as I mentioned a couple times now, I think, to define your tile pieces a wee bit. And it just changes the color of your basic white cardstock ever so slightly. So I kind of thought, going back into my old archives of stuff that I haven't even ever put on in that fashion on online, like long before there was a Facebook page for my business. Okay, there we go. There's a few little hair pieces or little dust pieces on there, but we've added a little bit, maybe a little bit more at the top or the side over here. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so we've added that there, and it's a lot more defined, at least to my eye. All right, now we're going to pick a stamp that we want to put on here. And Botanical Layers is a single stamp set. It has no dies or no, oh, hi Val, and no punch to go with it. It's just a single stamp set, but I really find it quite pretty with the different leaf options. And I know we're going to be stepping outside the usual color scheme here because leaves are not usually gray granite and Tahitian tide, but we're just going to live life a little dangerously. Here we go. So I'm going to do a similar pattern to something I did with my team card recently. Actually, I think it was a class card as well. Is this going to fit on here? Not really. Let's get a bigger block. We're going to stamp the image once like this in one color, and then clean it and once like that in another color. So we're just going to try something different. And if it turns out great, awesome. And if it doesn't turn out great, we tried something new. All right, now this is gray granite, which can be a little dark. So let's take a look. Yeah, I think that's too dark, so we'll do the stamping off once. I think will be the best way to go. So stamping off once, that just tones down the color a little bit. And we're going to put this one like this. Remember that the magic happens when you're stamping. You don't have to go really hard to add ink to your stamp. The magic happens when you press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds. That's how it works. And then we are going to use this as part of the reading, I think. So then let's go in with Tahitian Tide and just see what kind of an interesting contrast we can get here. So I think also Tahitian Tide will be rather dark, so we'll go in with a light version. So we're stamping off once, and then we're going to go just to the left of it a little. And we have a really pretty little pattern here. Okay, so I know I have a lot of white space at the top. That's okay. I think we're going to add some embellishments that will detract from that a little bit. All right. There we go. Clean that off. Now I wanted to use one of these greetings, but I found that they weren't really working well for the idea of using circle punches. So I wanted to highlight these guys, the 1 3/4 and the 2-inch. They're on our online exclusives products. So these are only online at the online store. They don't, you can't get them out of the you won't see them in the catalog, but they're available there, and they come in and out of stock as time goes on. But I'm going to use this greeting from here, which is a little more circular, and that is hello friend. So let's grab some scrap white, and we will add the hello friend greeting. This is from Inked and Tiled. Actually, looking at this, would that circle punch fit on there? Let's just take a peek. 1 3/4. You know, it would. Thank you for everything. I think it would work. Let's go with that because I don't think I've used that greeting yet. So let's change tact here and go thank you for everything. And we're going to do what was on this card from years ago, and I'm going to show you how you can stamp it with, by putting on with the 2 colors on here. So that was my thought process, as we would try to do that. So we need a couple of markers, and naturally I grabbed one. Grab the other one. So you need 2 markers. I'm going to use gray granite and Tahitian tide. And this is the Stampin' Write markers. Okay, you don't want to do this with your Stampin' Blends, the alcohol based. They won't stamp nicely. I don't know why. They just, it doesn't work. This technique doesn't work with them. All right, so our greeting says, thank you for everything. So I'm going to do thank you for in gray granite, and in the Tahitian tide I'm going to do the everything. So this is called the marker to stamp technique. So it's another little technique, and you just brush across. You don't want to go straight down. You want to brush across the stamp, trying to only get certain words covered. Now you could do it another way. You could put a Post-it note or tape around the words you don't want to get the first time around, and then you can go in and then take it off to add the other inks. This works fairly well for me, but I'm going to do a test drive, so we're going to see how it turns out before we get too carried away, before we're committed to the paper. And then you take the second marker, and I am using the brush tip end versus the bullet end. And then you're going to add, I feel like I can't even see the gray granite, so I'm going to add some more. And then I'm going to breathe on it to re-moisten the color a little bit because it does dry. And by doing that, we'll just take a test drive and see what it looks like. And you get 2 colors on the same stamp. So I find it's best just to start over and clean it off if you're going to do it a second time. Start from scratch. I just wanted to see how that would work, and if I like the way it turned out and I don't have any weird splotches where I don't want them. So we'll go back to thank you for in gray granite. So in love with earth. I know, it is gorgeous, and I just love that too. And you managed to sneak in and make a card front and base while the contractor was at lunch. Ooh, sneaking in, huh? Yeah, I love that earth and elegance. Oh my goodness, it is so me. I mean, I do love critters, and I love the fun and the cutesy things and all of that, but you know what you like, and you know what you like to work with. We have a lot of flowers, floral elements and such, and I like them, but there's something about this earthy tones of that one. All right, we're ready to go in, and if we don't like it, it's okay, because we can restamp it. So you don't get the same necessary crispness that you would if you stamped it with an ink pad, because you are using a marker across it, but you get the same general idea, and it's kind of fun. I'm going to punch this out with the 1 3/4 inch. And then I'm going to I didn't do it on this one way back when, but I'm going to border this just to pop it up a little bit. So I have some scrap Tahitian tide, and we'll use the 2-inch punch because 1 3/4 onto a 2-inch is a fairly nice border. Let's move these aside. And we're going to put that on there. And you see how it's starting to have some, I could have moved that up a little bit, but I still think I like it like that. All right, let's glue this together. I like the lemon lolly. Originally I thought I would do gray granite, but I do like the lemon lolly over the tile. That's worked out nicely. And I have lemon lolly ribbon. So, you know, let's, I'm going to put these together. Now, what did I do with that one? I did, yeah. So I'm going to glue these two together, then I'm going to wrap this ribbon or do something with the ribbon. So we'll start. And the more defined you can use your, to make your tiles with, the better, the more of a depression you can put into it when you're making your tile diagonals there, the better it's going to look, for sure, for sure. Wonder if 12 years from now I'll pull this one out and go, do you remember when I made this 12 years ago? I hope not. All right, so now we have to think. Are we going to put ribbon around? Are we going to put ribbon at the top? I rarely do that. So let's audition that and see if we like it. That's got some merit. Because this is kind of low. Are those snowflakes? Those look like snow, but I think they're little floral things. Yeah, I don't want it all down near the bottom, so let's do that. Let's put ribbon near the top for a change. Just change it up a little bit. I could take this card any direction I really want to do it. Hi, Lise. Thanks for popping in. I'm in Ontario, too. Okay, bye, Val. Take care. You're probably gone already because it's 2 minutes ago. Dinner calls, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm in Guelph, Ontario, Lise. And that's just west of Toronto. About an hour west. So what I did was I took my tear and tape and I just put a little bit on the ends here. I typically I'm using tear and tape or glue dots, mini glue dots. But I like the tear and tape. It goes quick and easy. There we go. Is that even? Yep, it's even. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals because we don't have enough dimensionalization happening yet on this card, so let's do that. So 2 techniques tonight, the faux tile and the marker to stamp. All right, 2 for the price of 1. There we go. And then we're going to pop this up here. And I'm going to pop it down a little bit. I'm not going to have it directly over. So when I put dimensionals on layers that go over top of ribbon, I don't put them where the ribbon is going to land. I put them on either side of the ribbon, as you can see here, so that otherwise it kind of flops around, but this will help it anchor nicely onto the paper and not be relying on sticking where that ribbon is. This would have looked equally nice maybe with a hexagon or a square or something too. And we need some embellishments. So I originally grabbed these guys, which are the solid gems. Here's a better sort of idea of what comes in the pack because I've used so much. You get lemon lolly, boho blue, and copper clay, and they have a little bit of a shine to them. They sparkle a little bit. And I was going to use the lemon lolly, but now I'm thinking it needs something to pull this gray granite in, and I think one of these is going to work. So let's just see here. Brush metallic. I thought there was one. It's a little bit more green than I wanted, but I think that this one will work. These are the rustic metallic dots. They came with the masculine He's the Man set last year. I only have a few left, but I think they go kind of nicely with the gray granite there. I'll put a little here and here. I'm just going to use them up. Maybe, because I've got 5 left here, may as well use them up if I can get the glue dot to go with it. Let's see. One here. Flip you over. Come on, you. Let's play nice. Yes, I should be using my take your pick tool, but I typically like my scissors. There we go. Stick you there. There we go. And the last one. Look at that. I actually finished an entire package of embellishments. Holy smokes. That rarely happens. All right, there's our card. 3 versions. This original with I don't know, what were we thinking? Pumpkin pie. I think we did this in the fall. That's why pumpkin pie was the color to use. Anyway, and then this one here with, I like the blue and the red and the crumb cake, and then our little bit bolder looking one. So thank you, near Belleville. Okay, yeah, a little bit of ways from me. Um, Thank you for stopping in. Thank you all for being here. Let me know in the comments what you think of these cards and if you'll give it a try. Wonderful. Have a good evening. I'll see you on Monday. Monday is the 3rd. I believe I'll be going live on Monday, even though it's a holiday, when we celebrate the holiday for Canada Day. And in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful weekend and have a great Canada Day celebration on the 1st. Thanks, Vicki. Bye for now.